Hello! Actually, this is the first time I've posted a vlog to this channel, so one of two things is going to happen. Either you have no idea who I am, or you've seen me so much that you're sick of it and you just wish I would die. We do all sorts of covers and things on this channel where we take ourselves, way too seriously. But today, we break out of that shell, and we get to let you see the Johari you were never meant to see. And for those of you who do not know me, yes, I am the lead vocalist of Johari. And for those of you who do know me, please just let them think that. All right, look, I've got a good thing going here. Just let them think I'm a fucking rock star or something. Okay, it would be like the biggest con in history to make people who don't know me think that I'm like a fucking rock star. All right, just like, shut up and we can just like pull this off. Okay, all right, cool. Today I want to talk about music, and in the future, especially if you guys enjoy these, and please let me know down in the comments if you do want to see more. In the future, I'd love to talk about things I've learned, experiences I've had, even techniques for performing, or even other types of music. But today, specifically, I want to talk about the music that I grew up on, music that made me who I am today, that influenced me, from artists that you may or may not, I'm leaning towards may not have heard of. The kinds of bands that I listened to going to school on the school bus had such a huge impact on me, and funny enough, back in those times, it was actually really difficult to find music like this. Not only was the internet not nearly as capable as it is today, but also the genre itself wasn't really as prevalent. Now we've got just funny nicknames for subgenres of what I was trying to listen to. Things like gent, stuff that we just kind of take for granted now. But back in the day, like to hear music like that for the first time would have been mind-blowing. I had to dig so deep just to find anything somewhat close to what I wanted to listen to. And in those journeys of trying to find music that I was interested in, I found a lot of really, really awesome artists. Some of them you may have heard of, but honestly, I have a feeling that if you know any of these bands, it's going to be one of those, holy shit, Blue Drake listens to that band kind of moments. But the other main aspect of this is these bands never really got the appreciation that I so wanted them to get when I was younger. And since then, they've been overshadowed by much larger, more modernized bands in the same genre. But I still think that these artists hold their own, and they're unique, and they're still really great artists that define the genre in a period when it really needed defining. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a list of top 10 bands, and this list is in no particular order. It does not mean that the first band is better than the last band or vice versa. These are all bands that I think, if you haven't heard of before, you should definitely give a listen to. And they're all bands that are somewhat older, from my younger years, and all had really big defining impacts on the genre when there weren't that many people defining it. And if you have anything to add, or if you have any thoughts on this list, or maybe other bands that maybe you think also deserve appreciation, feel free to tell me down in the comments below. If you guys enjoy this vlog, we'll probably do more, and I would love to have more lists of bands so people can come here and explore artists and different artists that I think are either underappreciated or highly acclaimed, or hopefully both. So let's start with the list. And the first band that I want to talk about on this list is probably one of the most underappreciated of everyone else I'm going to talk about. But this is one of the first artists that helped me get a new perspective on what makes metal heavy. So many artists focus so much on aggression and being in your face, or just talking about disgusting things to be heavy, and in many ways that works. I mean, you can't say that hyper aggression and that disgust and aversion to society makes them heavy, but there's an entirely different style, an entirely different atmosphere that I enjoy a lot, that still feels really not necessarily aggressive, but definitely heavy. And it's not heavy because it's in your face. It's not heavy because it's disgusting. It's heavy because it's strong, and it's almost ethereal. And the reason I enjoyed this band so much, especially when I was younger, and it probably made a fairly large impression on me, was that it forced me to think of other forms of strength. There are so many bands out there, and in some cases even people, that only focus on the animalistic aspects of strength, being more physically imposing, being intimidating, but they don't focus on the other aspects of strength, being composed, having more composure and control than your opponent, having such a deeper understanding of something that you can maneuver right through someone. And that's something that I think really shines through with the Interbeing's music, and it's something that I really enjoyed having and listening to and being a part of. And one of my favorite tracks from them is Shadow Drift. Although the entire album is incredible, it carries that same theme throughout all of their work, and it's wonderful. It's one of those albums that you just want to zone out to and just really enjoy the entirety of. But Shadow Drift is just a great singular showcase of that identity. So we're going to listen to the first minute or so of this, and if you want to go onto their own YouTube channel and to listen to the entire thing in its entirety, as I recommend, feel free to do so. But this should give you a good taste of what they are like. Oh god, I want to listen to the entire thing, as you absolutely should, but that one segment encompasses everything I feel when I listen to that band. It doesn't make you want to go out and destroy things. It makes you want to go out and just like dominate things. It makes you want to monopolize your opponents and let your opponents tear themselves apart through their own uncontrolled animosity. I love that, because that impression and that sentiment is so rare in metal music that as soon as I find a band that has that style, I attach myself to it immediately. Now this next band, and I love that we're doing this next band, is also one of my favorites because it is the absolute inverse of the Interbeing. My next favorite band of my younger days is Mnemic, M-N-E-M-I-C. And the reason I love Mnemic so much is their aggression is, I mean, it's animalistically aggressive, but it's aggressive in a way that's unique. It's almost insane. And I don't say insane like, wow, it's so much. Like, literally, like, they're fucking crazy. But not insane to a point where it's not logical. It's somewhere in between. Their melodies, their song structure is definitely atypical. It's out there, but at the same time, it has this sense to it that you can't deny. And that duality I love so much. You can never put your finger on their music when you listen to it and you're like, wow, this is hooky, and I don't know why, because this makes no sense, but it does. And one of my favorite albums from them is actually with their old vocalist called The Audio Injected Soul. And the aspects of this album that make it so great are the genuinely unnerving intros and almost cinematic sequences that are scattered throughout the album. The introduction cuts through the fourth wall in such creative ways, in ways that are hard to explain. In fact, here, I'll let you listen to it first, and then I can talk more about it.
One ugly fuck. Let's inject the venom.
I love that. I love the way that they structured this introduction in almost a cinematic way with this 3D positional sound, and then they used a EQ filter in order to make it actually feel like the needle was being driven into your ear, and all of the atmospheric sounds like the buzzing and stuff like that is things that you'd actually hear if you had like hearing damage, tinnitus and stuff like that. And they actually thought for a second, they're like, wait a second, we could actually use this to simulate an acoustic experience almost as if you were actually there. Like that EQ filter they used was genius. If you were to stick your finger in your ear, it would, like in real life, it would almost feel the exact same, which is so awesomely creative and so impactful in ways that I didn't even think were possible when I first started listening to metal music. So with all of this said, I almost kind of regret showing you that album, because now you're going to have to just go listen to the entire thing. But the one song that I really enjoy from Nemec, and I think it really personifies who they are, even though in the future they go through so many twists and I could do an entire top 10 vlog just on Nemec itself. They go through so many twists and turns of styles and artistic explorations in the future, but the core of Nemec I feel can be described with this one video, and I want you to listen to this now.
Just like me, will I ever wake up? We ought to see the box I'm in. Will I ever stand up? I'm standing on the edge.
Also, the singer looks like Brad Pitt. I have to say that. So, anyway, sorry.
Coming up and though I'm trying, still penetrates my mind. All these demons that carry me inside. Deep inside. The cave faces forces me to leave the traces of the spring and things that's growing in my
I love that shit so much. Oh my god, it's so like this song makes you want to go fucking insane. Like literally go insane and just start like breaking down walls and shit. Oh, it's so good. And the beauty of Nemec is they actually brought in a future vocalist. He is also a really interesting change for Nemec, but also in this way that's still very, very atypical. Their album Passenger was just this testament to discovering all new textures and sounds and harmonies that you never even thought could be interesting or hooky before, and I love it. But unfortunately, I don't want to spend all my time on Nemec. Go listen to it. I'll probably do an entire video just on that. So this next band that I want to talk about, I have a pretty personal connection to, and I don't want to say that I know any of the members of the band. I don't. That's not what the connection is. But I did go through a pretty extensive personal transformation while listening to this band. And what that was I actually didn't always like metal. In fact, when I was younger, I hated it pretty profusely. And the reason for that was I am actually a classically trained musician. I'm not one of those people that just says that. I actually spent much more of my life than I should have studying classical music as a major in high school, and then using that to get a scholarship and degree for my college education. I actually had a scholarship in classical voice, in opera. And that powered my way through school, but I also think it biased me in ways that, looking back, I actually am really bitter about. And one of the reasons that I'm so averse to other classically trained musicians now, because there's so much judgmentalism, and there's so much of a superiority complex that comes with being a classically trained musician that I think it tainted my ability to appreciate other forms of music. And Threat Signal was one of the first bands that I listened to that had like screaming in it, and my first reaction was like, I hate this. These people are disgusting. Why would you do this? Nobody would. This isn't something you should enjoy. And the only reason that I started listening to heavy music was actually I wanted to be a sound engineer, and there were heavy bands, a lot of heavy bands, younger heavy bands coming to me asking me to record them. And I was like, you know what? I'm a professional. If I'm going to know how to record these heavy bands correctly, I should at least learn how to appreciate their genre a little bit, so I'm not just completely stupid when I'm accepting their recording contracts. And that's what I did. I started forcing myself to listen to heavy music, and after a while, I didn't just start tolerating it. I started enjoying it more. In fact, I would say that my coming around and my learning to appreciate something so polarizing as metal music had this domino effect across the rest of my personality, where suddenly I was learning how to appreciate the beauty in things, as opposed to demonizing or criticizing things based off of things that are subjectively considered to be wrong or unattractive. And I think that really changed who I was, and for the better, and I appreciate it considerably. And Threat Signal was one of those bands that I originally hated so profusely, and then it came around to be one of my most favorite bands. And I don't want to say that I necessarily owe them that, like, specifically, but whenever I listen back on this band, I really start to appreciate what that band meant for me. So let's go ahead and listen to this band. We're going to listen to A New Beginning, which is one of their first and most popular songs, and one of the song that I first heard. And hopefully you'll also enjoy the track. But again, if you're not a metal fan, maybe you'll react how I first did, and you won't enjoy parts of it. So one of the things that I actually learned after appreciating this band was how safe metal music makes me feel, which is actually kind of strange, because you think safe, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Metal music's about, like, kicking people in the face. But one of the things that really changed my perception of building a social circle and finding people to be friends with and who appreciate you is finding people that didn't focus on the negativity of things, but focused on the positivity of things. And I think that's something that metal fans really enjoy a lot. You know, like if you show somebody a song and they're like, oh, fucking screaming, you know, like I hate that. And you're like, good, you have now secretly told me that you are one of those people I should not be around. And metal has actually almost become a filter to find people that have a similar mindset to actually socialize with, which is something I've definitely used a lot. You know, I've found that the people who listen to the kinds of music that I enjoy have gone through the same personal hurdles that I have gone through and learned how to appreciate greater things, which means I have a much better relationship with them. And that's one of the reasons I love the metal scene and the people in it so much, is we have that common ground to bond over. But that's one of the reasons I love Threat Signal so much, and why it has a special place in me from my younger years. On to the next band. So now that we've talked about a lot of bands that I had a kind of like a personal, emotional connection to, I want to talk about some of the bands that I listened to that blew me away from a songwriting and technical standpoint. A lot of these bands I was just so impressed with, not just their technical ability, but their ability to create songs that were progressive and interesting. And one of the bands that I loved more than anything, with this in mind, was a band called Solosis. I still don't know how to pronounce their name correctly. That might be it. From what I hear, they actually made up the name, which is probably not a bad idea, because then nobody's going to take your URL, but it's Sylosis. And unfortunately, I think this band had kind of like some inter-band drama with the vocalist or whatever, but their music is really impeccable. The guitarist pushes them technically, but their vocalist, and in the future the guitarist actually starts doing vocals as well, and he carries over the sentiment. The vocalist really keeps it grounded in a emotional context. And my favorite track from them is After Lifeless Years, one of their oldest tracks as well, the first one that I ever heard from them. And I think that they did a great job at creating something that was not just technically impressive, but also new and appealing from a song standpoint. So let's go ahead and listen to After Lifeless Years. Now, the cool thing about this track is it didn't just have really, really awesome blast beats that was incredibly energetic and amazing guitar riffs, but whenever it came around to the chorus, when I first heard this band, I was like, oh yeah, this is technically impressive, but it's got no hook. There's nothing that's like making me feel emotionally invested. And then it got to the hook, which just blew me away. And the thing about Solosis is they actually don't use their hooks very often, which makes it even better. It builds this tension of like, okay, well, maybe nothing's going to happen this track, and then out of nowhere, they hit you with this gut-wrenching beauty that makes you feel so emotionally invested out of nowhere. It's incredible. So anyways, let me sample you the hook of this song, which, it hits you on that level that you just don't even see coming. Okay, just listen to it.
Say
I love that so much. And in many ways, I think this is a wonderful representation of the beauty in metal music. If you were to have somebody that was like, oh yeah, I hate like blast beats, I hate screaming, and they turn themselves away, they would rob themselves of experiencing beautiful moments like this. And in many ways, I think that is one of the reasons that metal fans love metal music so much. It's a reflection of their own experiences in the world, where you understand the need to build this aggressive, defensive, bitter exterior to protect yourself. But at the same time, internally, you have this confliction, this sympathy for the world, and there's this wanting to be compassionate for people, but this tragic recognition that would probably be used against you. And it's that duality that I think is really well represented in songs like this, both like physically and also metaphorically. I think that's really significant and poignant. But enough philosophical bullshit. Next song. So this next band is one of those bands that always makes you feel internally conflicted. And I'm not talking from like a super philosophical level like we just talked about with Solosis. This is one of those bands that would be cheesy if they weren't so damn good. Like, this band is like Stargate, the TV show. It's one of those things where like you want to say that it's cheesy, but I'll be damned when like Teal'c dies in that one episode. You're like, no, Teal'c, and then he comes back in the next episode, and you're like, oh, thank God, and you're like, what? God, I love this TV show so much. Why? Like, it should be cheesy, but like I love it. It's so good. That's what Scar Symmetry is. Scar Symmetry is exactly that. And ironically, not just Scar Symmetry, but almost like I want to say like 80% of the bands that are like Scar Symmetry, and that all still come from that same part of the world, like fucking Finland or whatever it is. All those bands are just, they could be cheesy if they weren't so fucking good. And this is one of those songs that is just like that. It's epic, it's awesome, and you want it to be cheesy, but it's so sick that you can't help but like it a lot. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to listen to it. And you'll understand probably exactly what I'm saying, especially if you're a metal fan, when you start hearing this song. It's a 9-minute song. All of their albums are a fucking marathon, like, endurance test. It's crazy what they are able to volumetrically accomplish, just like in sheer scope. But this song is one of my favorites. So here we go. Welcome to Holographic Universe by Scar Symmetry. And like I said, it is cheesy. They love to repeat. It is obviously a long song for an obvious reason. and here come the vocals finally. But let me tell you something. So when the vocals first come in, it's one of those things. It's like Stargate. You're like, oh my gosh, it's just very, very typical death metal. But wait what it turns into, and I'm probably gonna have to fast forward because it takes so long for him to get there. But you'll see how incredibly capable this crazy fucking vocalist who I idolize, and I could probably do an entire video just on him. Christian, you fucking talented dick. Listen. Pretty generic, right? Like, it was just death metal, but holy shit. Let me fast forward. Shit's crazy. Like, insane talent out of fucking nowhere. And I think it's half the performer and half his production manager or something, because they use some incredible layered technique on his studio vocals that make it sound so fucking good and amazing, and it's the same effect that they use. If you ever hear this guy Christian, who I idolize, on any other guesting track or anything like that, he always sounds the same, and it always sounds incredible. And it's funny because if you ever listen to their tracks all the way through, they start out kind of repetitive, and you're like, man, I'm not sure if this band has anything to offer. And then they put in these crazy moments and those insanely technical guitar riffs, just as like a, ha, fuck you! You thought we were a normal shitty band, huh? Well, check this crazy shit out. Like, it's hilarious, but also amazing. So, unfortunately, that is all the time we have to talk about bands in this video. However, if you enjoy this, I will be very happy to continue the list in the next vlog that I upload. So, leave a comment, leave a like saying that you would like more, and if you do, we'll finish the next 5 bands that I have on my list to talk about. Besides that, thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to Johari's channel, or don't, but it would be really nice if you did, and hopefully I will see you in the next vlog. Alright everyone, I will see you later. Goodbye.